The observation deck of the Talon's rest training facility hummed with the nervous energy of youth. Dozens of Kethran cubs, furred, clawed, and barely tall enough to reach a human's chest, sat in rigid rows, their amber eyes fixed on the scarred woman standing before them. Sergeant Mara Lorne did not pace. She did not shout. She simply stood, hands clasped behind her back, and let the silence stretch until it became unbearable. "Fear," she said finally, her voice quiet enough that every cub strained to hear, "is not your enemy." Cub Ral, sitting in the front row with his dark fur bristling, felt his claws dig into his palms. He had been taught the opposite his entire life. Fear was weakness. Fear got soldiers killed. Fear dishonored the pack. Fear, Mara continued, turning to face them fully, is information. It tells you when something matters. The question is what you do with it. Beside Ral, Cub Sira's ears twitched. She was smaller than most of the others, her spotted fur marking her as a Forest Clan runt. She had been mocked for her size since arriving at the academy. Now her voice, barely above a whisper, cut through the silence. "What did you do with it, Sergeant?" Mara's eyes, one brown, one replaced with a mechanical prosthetic that glowed faintly blue, settled on Sira. For a moment, something ancient and terrible flickered across the human's face. Then it was gone, replaced by that same careful calm. "I survived," Mara said, "and I made sure others did too." The Kethran Confederation had hired human military advisors out of desperation. Their warrior culture, built on aggression and honor duels, had proven catastrophically ineffective against the Vryn swarm, a species that felt neither fear nor mercy, that threw bodies at defensive lines until sheer numbers overwhelmed even the fiercest fighters. The Kethrans were losing entire worlds. Then came the humans, who had somehow defeated 3 separate extinction-level threats in their short history. The Confederation's generals expected fire-breathing demons, creatures as savage as their reputation. Instead, they got instructors like Mara Lorne, quiet, methodical, and utterly unshakable. Ral hated her at first. She made them sit in meditation. She taught them breathing exercises. She had them practice walking away from insults, disengaging from fights they could win. It felt like cowardice dressed up as discipline. "You want us to be weak?" he snarled one day after she'd stopped him from responding to an older cadet's challenge. His packmates circled, watching to see if the human would strike him for his insubordinance. Mara regarded him with those mismatched eyes. "I want you to be alive, Cub Ral. There's a difference between strength and survival. You'll learn it or you'll die confused." She walked away, leaving him trembling with unused adrenaline. 3 months into training, the Vryn came to Talon's Rest. The facility was supposed to be safe, hidden in the asteroid field of a forgotten system. But the swarm had learned to track military vessels through subspace, and a supply ship had led them straight to the Cubs. Alarms screamed through the corridors. Instructors barked orders, and Sergeant Mara Lorne moved through the chaos like a stone in a river, calm, directed, unstoppable. "All Cubs to the evacuation pods," she commanded. Her voice carried no panic, only certainty. "Instructors, defensive positions. We hold them at the main corridor." Ral found himself running alongside Sira, their training kicking in despite their terror. But when they reached the pod bay, Sira froze. Her younger brother was in the nursery, the opposite direction, deeper into the facility. "I have to," she started. "No." Ral grabbed her arm. The sergeant said, Sira tore free, already running. Ral cursed in 3 languages and followed. They found the nursery in chaos. Smaller cubs screamed as a Vryn scout, all chitinous plating and clicking mandibles, tore through the door. Sira dove for her brother, but the creature was faster. Its bladed limb rose. Then Mara was there. She came through the ceiling vent like a hunting predator, landing on the Vryn's back with a combat knife already buried in its neural cluster. The creature convulsed. Mara wrote it down, stabbing twice more with machine efficiency before rolling clear. "Move," she snapped at Sira, who stood frozen, her brother clutched to her chest. But more Vryn were coming. Ral could hear them in the walls, skittering through the ventilation system like insects. Dozens of them. Mara's jaw tightened. She looked at the cubs, at Sira's tear-streaked face, at Ral's trembling hands, at the nursery full of children too young to run. "Change of plans," she said quietly. She tapped her communicator. "Command, this is Lorne. I'm sealing the nursery. Consider it a hard point. Sergeant, you'll be cut off. I'm aware. Mara's voice held that terrible calm again. Get the other cubs out. That's an order. She cut the transmission and looked at Ral. You know the breathing exercises? He nodded, not trusting his voice. Good. Teach them to the little ones.
Keep them quiet.
Keep them calm. She was already moving, dragging furniture to barricade the door, setting proximity charges with steady hands. Fear is information, remember? Right now it's telling you this matters, so we make it matter. For 6 hours, Sergeant Mara Lorne held the nursery. Ral and Sira watched her work with something approaching religious awe. She didn't fight like a Kethrin warrior, all fury and honor. She fought like water wearing down stone, picking her shots, conserving ammunition, turning every inch of ground into a killing zone. When a Vryn broke through, she killed it. When they retreated to regroup, she reinforced the barricades and checked on the cubs with the same methodical care. Breathe, she reminded Ral when his hands shook too badly to help. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. He did. The shaking stopped. When the Kethrin relief force finally arrived, they found the nursery intact. Every cub alive. Sergeant Mara Lorne sitting against the wall with 17 Vryn corpses between her and her charges, reloading her weapon with movements so automatic they seemed unconscious. 2 years later, Lieutenants Ral and Sira stood on the bridge of the Dancing Blade, the first Kethrin vessel to successfully repel a Vryn assault with 0 casualties. Their crew, all trained by human advisors, moved with a discipline that would have seemed impossible before the humans arrived. Status? Ral asked, his voice carrying that same quiet authority he'd learned from Mara. All hostiles eliminated, Sira reported. Our people are secure. Ral nodded, allowing himself a small moment of satisfaction. On his desk sat a photo, Sergeant Mara Lorne, arms crossed, standing between 2 young cubs who looked at her like she hung the stars. The cubs had learned calm from the human, and courage from her battles, and in learning, they had become something their species had never been before. Survivors who protected, rather than warriors who simply fought. Human doctrine had taught them that sometimes, the greatest strength was knowing what mattered enough to die for, and then refusing to die at all.